When I say the next season of The Real Housewives of Atlanta is gonna be interesting, that's honestly an understatement. Porsha Williams seems to be living out a story of who the fuck did I marry that could honestly rival Reese Teases, as her husband Simon Jubadia was recently denied permanent residency in the US and is facing deportation due to a criminal record about a mile long. And supposedly, Porsha had no idea that any of this was going down before she tied the knot with him. What actually happened? Why is Simon getting deported? And what did Porsha have to say about the whole scenario? Buckle up because this story has some crazy twists and turns. Simon Jubadia is reportedly a businessman from Nigeria. And I say reportedly because at this point, after researching all of this, I'm questioning everything about him, the world, and my own reality. But he allegedly used a fake publicity company to put out a lie about his net worth. Apparently, they're so shady that they'll publicize anything you want them to, as long as you pay their price, which is some next level shade from a publicity company. Simon sent them information that made it seem like they'd look through his financial records to verify his net worth. And spoiler alert, they didn't. It gets even worse. Check out his website. There's a lot of pictures of him in suits in fancy places, standing next to expensive cars, but it was very obviously patched together with a template, and it has a lot of vague language that suggests he's a businessman without actually explicitly stating what he does. Simon Iori Jubadia is a Nigerian-born entrepreneur and businessman. Mr. Jubadia is the founder and CEO of SimCall Group and its affiliated companies located in several countries, spanning 3 continents. Mr. Jubadia's core business interests are in oil and gas, renewable energy, manufacturing, and commodities trading. First of all, those are a hodgepodge of industry sectors. His previous passion projects were in entertainment, music, movies, food and beverage, and hospitality. These passion projects were geared specifically toward building relationships in his adopted hometown of Atlanta, Georgia, USA. Sir, what do you do? But I find it really interesting that he listed his passion project was creating relationships in Atlanta, given that he married a star on The Real Housewives of Atlanta. But apparently, all of his business advertisements were all smoke and mirrors. In 2021, he'd amassed 21 liens, 9 judgments, and 2 loans from PNC Bank for his prized 2 Rolls Royces. And he supposedly owed a small fortune to the IRS in back taxes and filed for bankruptcy repeatedly. One filing in 2014 was for $3.8 million. Rumors went around in 2021 that he'd file for bankruptcy again for his restaurants and clubs. And just so you know, this is all public information. I didn't go digging for it. All it takes is some Google searching and know-how. But apparently, Porsha doesn't know how to run Google because she says he didn't have any red flags. I honestly don't believe that, given how they got together. No red flags, huh?
Keep your standards high, okay? And if it's someone that's showing red flags, just leave, okay? Period. I don't care. It could be the smallest red flag. You are not meant to fix them. Walk away. Because when I tell you, my husband didn't have red flags. He had red flags to other people. But to me, I knew they were not real.
If you don't remember, Simon was married to another Real Housewives of Atlanta star, Fallon Pina. Their divorce was publicly announced in April 2021. The very next month, Simon and Porsha were engaged. Simon said, "I'd like to seize this opportunity to thank every well-wisher of Porsha and I, whether via phone, text, or DM. You may affirm my belief that finding love is possible for everyone who genuinely seeks one. Getting married again was never a question in my mind, but when? Did not expect to be blessed with a mate so soon." But the thing is, the two had been having an affair and hooking up since September 2020. And Porsha wasn't his only side piece. When Simon and Porsha's engagement went public, another gorgeous lady named Jessica Harris came out stating she'd been dating him at the same time as Porsha. Jessica revealed through a series of text messages that Simon Jubadia allegedly told her that he wanted to get to know her more and apparently left her under the impression that it would become something between the two, and that once his divorce was finalized, they could pursue an open relationship. And then she finds out he's engaged to Porsha.
You're over here whipping me around in that Ferrari going 100 miles an hour and hair all over the place, got me looking crazy on these pictures. How you do that?
Jessica caught some heat for being a hater and calling Simon out, but now it seems like she was trying to send out a warning about him.
It was just like, you're a fraud. We're watching you on your live talking about your wife, how she cheated, she does drugs. which I can address that later. And you're in all this kind of stuff when you're doing the same thing, you know? It's like you're a hypocrite and you're a fraud, and I don't like that.
Then in 2022, Simon gave Porsha a $300,000 car, and she took to social media to brag on him for it. But then fans brought up that Fallon had also posted pictures of herself next to a Rolly with an orange interior. Simon denied re-gifting the same car to Porsha, but I mean, isn't it weird that he buys his wives the same kind of car? Ew. By the way, these Rolls Royces, they're the cars he was having loan troubles about with PNC Bank back in 2021. But his businesses, private jets, mansions, and so many aspects of his image just simply don't add up. Now, let's discuss the court documents that have recently surfaced, which expose this scammer as having a criminal record that dates all the way back to 1982. In 1982, Simon came to the country on a visitor's visa, then left voluntarily in 1985 when he got into some trouble with the police for credit card fraud. By the way, it was a 6-month visitor visa. And in 1985, he married his first wife to gain citizenship, but his citizenship was denied as Immigration and Naturalization saw through that ploy. After that, and the brush with the police, he left on his own. In 1986, he came back with a 6-month visitor's visa. He was arrested in 1987 for credit card and bank fraud, pleading guilty to felony charges. So he whole-ass caught some felonies. Then in 1988, he was accused of failure to disclose criminal records and also using a fake identity to pass through INS's Special Agricultural Worker Program by falsifying his temporary resident pass. And it keeps going. In 1989, he was arrested for the unauthorized use of a vehicle, and in 1990, he was again arrested for fraud. That arrest set off INS deportation hearings. And then, in 1991, he was accused of credit card fraud again in the middle of deportation hearings. In 1992, he was officially deported. But remember that 1988 visa application he allegedly used a fake identity to secure? That finally came through, and he got a green card some the hell how. In 2016, he used an alias to apply for naturalization, but that got rejected because his temporary resident status was unlawfully granted. Yeah, no duh. In 2020, he again applied for naturalization, only to have it denied once again. INS's decision was based on the fact that he was not lawfully admitted for permanent residence because of his alias, and also disqualifying criminal inadmissibility that was willfully concealed. Another court hearing to determine his citizenship was held in 2022, and he was rejected again. And in 2023, he filed an appeal, and it was dismissed in January 11, 2024 because of his extensive criminal record. The court documents also point out that he'd even faked a marriage in an attempt to try to stay in the US. Petitioner's adjustment of status application in 1985 was based on his marriage, which the agency deemed a sham because of statements by his spouse that the two of them had not resided together and the marriage was never consummated. The documents point out that he misrepresented himself on documents numerous times. They also say his complaints failed to state a claim that he meets eligibility for naturalization, and they base that because he got his SAW benefits using misrepresentations and omissions regarding his identity, criminal history, and other personal characteristics, and thereby the petitioner's permanent residency status is not lawful for purposes of granting his application for naturalization. So given the facts that the Immigration and Naturalization has deemed his residency status as unlawful and rejected his complaints, he's facing deportation, and his extensive fraud and criminal history do nothing to help his case. In response to all of this, Simon made this post on Instagram. Happy Tuesday to all who ever overcame and persevere in life. You are winning. Hashtag 42 years living in America. And some of the comments on the post are hilarious. People are going in on Simon. If any publicity is good publicity was a person, zero pressure. When the jokes write themselves. As for Porsha, well, she's pretty likely to be investigated over this mess too, and that might be why she signed up for RHOA again. See, she's gonna have to keep her income separate from his. But what I know for sure is that it's gonna be hard to beat their storyline. I mean, this is insane. One user wrote, "Not Porsha's announced her return to RHOA, and now Simon's criminal history is on front row. They're trying to get folks engaged and ready to tune in for this season." Another wrote, "Porsha had to have known this news about Simon was coming out. I wonder if that's why she wanted a bigger contract. She said RHOA/Bravo is gonna pay for this story. And as my friend said, she also gets a safety net in case she has to get out of the marriage. Get that money. And it seems like Porsha isn't gonna follow him once he's deported either. She filed for divorce. Court documents reveal that she is requesting that Simon not destroy, conceal, or alter any of their important financial documents in regard to their divorce, People magazine reports. Simon was notified and made aware that Georgia law requires him to exercise reasonable care to protect and preserve evidence relevant to the divorce. That includes things like income, financial, tax, and expense records, as well as any documents that reflect relevant conduct by him or Porsha. She also requested that her prenup be enforced, which, good on her. She cited that their marriage is irretrievably broken as the divorce cause and requested that Simon pay her legal fees. So she's really going all in. Now, Andy Cohen, one of the producers on RHOA, said on Andy Cohen Live that we would take Porsha married, single, picking up the pieces of her life on high, on low, however she wants, however she's gonna be, but we didn't know. And this is really a big right turn from the story that I think all of us thought we would be telling, so sending love to Porsha. So the official story from the producers is that they had no idea this was all going down. I don't know though, I think someone knew. What about you? Do you think Porsha knew all of this before she got married to Simon? Tell me in the comments, and I'll see you in the next video.